The reasons why our boys are being taken out is because they are the ones who are going to be asked to work, because physical labor is more easy to get for boys because they are more physically disposed, more physically able, and so they are being asked. We're also going to be targeting absenteeism. The Prime Minister, unfortunately, himself misunderstands absenteeism and calls it truancy. Truancy is when the child was sent to school and chose not to go. Absenteeism is when the entire collective, the parent, decided not to send him. There is a major problem with absenteeism for which we would ensure that we target. So we have a full something about student motivation.
The following is a release from the People's National Party Media Unit.
I would like to welcome the Prime Minister's recent statements acknowledging the urgent need to focus on local agriculture to combat inflation and improve food security. The irony of that very point, now being echoed by the Prime Minister, have long been raised by the opposition and dismissed by the Minister of Agriculture. For years, the opposition has been calling for investment in local food production as a strategy to reduce our import bill, lower inflation, and provide Jamaicans with more nutritious meals. Under the current JLP administration, Jamaica's reliance on food imports has worsened. The food import bill has ballooned from US $834 million in 2016 to US $1.44 billion, accounting for a 70% increase. This is not only due to inflation, but also a significant rise in the tonnage of food imported from 830 million kilograms to 1.4 billion kilograms. This crisis is a direct result of government policy. The Ministry of Agriculture has repeatedly rejected these facts, even scoffing at the truth that only 15% of Jamaica's arable land is irrigated, a fact that the Prime Minister himself now admits. The People's National Party had launched a National Irrigation Development Plan in 1998 to build 51 systems across the island, which started with Hounslow and Beacon in St. Elizabeth and Seven Rivers in St. James. In contrast, since 2016, the government has only continued the project in Essex Valley. The opposition notes with concern that the recently opened Parnassus Agri-Park only brings about 400 hectares of land under irrigation, when Jamaica has over 120,000 hectares of arable land. Of the 1,950 hectares of land currently being used in agri-parks, only approximately 30% is under production, despite having the infrastructure in place. That is a clear sign of neglect by the JLP-led administration, which has not prioritized agriculture. So much that they have been taking arable lands out of commission and using it for housing developments. The People's National Party has many plans for the agriculture sector, including the Agriculture Development Fund, which focus on giving local farmers access to resources, insurance for their crops, assistance with land preparation, storage facilities in heavy production belt, irrigation systems not only in agri-parks but in other heavy production areas. The next PNP administration will ensure that more sustainable measures, such as utilizing ponds with pond liners, micro dams, and rainwater harvesting systems are adopted, as well as investing in technology, research and development, and training. The PNP is also committed to end the practice of using arable lands for any other purpose than agriculture. The opposition remains committed to building a Jamaica where local agriculture is a true engine of national development, not just an afterthought.
The following is a release from the People's National Party Media Unit.
In 2020, you promised the Jamaican people 70,000 NHT homes by 2025. But after 9 years as Prime Minister, only 14,741 homes have been delivered. And in the current 5-year term, only 7,950 NHT homes have been delivered. So of the 70,000 homes you promised, 10,000 were to be for young people aged 18 to 35, and 30% were to be reserved for public sector workers. you have failed to deliver on both of those promises for young people and public sector workers. You also promised 1,000 social houses per year, yet fewer than 300 have been delivered in 9 years. Another failed promise. Our $1 billion Young Owners Fund will be replenished annually from ending the annual $11.4 billion raid on NHT. And our fund will benefit 2,000 young people per year. That's 10,000 young people who will benefit in our first term in office. The People's National Party has a comprehensive, affordable housing plan to provide real solutions for all Jamaicans when we form the next government. Some of our key initiatives include: 1. Ending the annual $11.4 billion raid of NHT funds. 2. Building 50,000 affordable homes over the next 5 years. 3. Launching the Young Owners Fund with $1 billion annually from the resources of the NHT, which will offer $500,000 grants to first-time buyers aged up to 35 years and will benefit 10,000 young people over a 5-year period. 4. Introducing our rent-to-own program for those who are not formally employed and can't produce a payslip, and those who don't have sufficient savings to cover a deposit on a house. 5. We will restore public sector workers access to reduced NHT interest rates on borrowings, and we will introduce a higher debt service ratio of 40% to allow public sector workers a bigger mortgage. And we'll also give them a 3-month moratorium before mortgage payments begin after they buy a house. 6. We'll remove the insurance costs for low-income NHT borrowers who earn $30,000 per week or less. And 7. We will exclude the land value from the price of NHT houses, reducing house prices by up to $3 million to contributors. Jamaica deserves better. Call the election, Prime Minister. The people are ready. Time come.
In our Jamaica, we have both. We have a security problem and we have a high murder problem. Mr. Speaker, the next People's National Party administration will pursue achieving both continued and accelerated murder reductions and increased security of our people. In their homes, on the streets, and in their communities. Nothing less can ever be deemed a success. In recent times, we hear this JLP administration's seeming sudden pivot, where they now profess support for social programs. This rings hollow. And there is indeed a synergy between hollow and ring. The PNP and the country have a very reasonable basis for skepticism. This is the same JLP government that, upon taking office in 2016, discontinued or defunded every flagship social intervention initiative inherited from the PNP. The Unite for Change initiative, the Citizen Security and Justice Program, the Peace Management Initiative. The government of Prime Minister Holness spent years dismissing such programs as ineffective. Now, with elections looming, the JLP seem to adopt the PNP's proven model of combining targeting policing with social investment. While we welcome this pivot, let's be clear, this is not leadership. It is opportunism. And worse, they are poor copycats. Them take Jamaican people for fool. Madam Speaker, no party or government should ever insult the intelligence and wisdom of our people and be allowed to get away with it. We are reminded of the words of the great Peter Tosh. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. That fooling time done, people's time come now.
Junior shadow spokesperson on health, Dr. Jesse James Clark, is voicing his concern, adding the ministry previously dropped the ball in its treatment of Mpox cases on the island.
With the recent declaration by the World Health Organization about monkeypox being a world health emergency, I have concerns about what is happening locally in terms of our preparation. We would have had some experience with monkeypox from as early as 2022 here on the island, and there were some mistakes that were made, and we're hoping that they won't be repeated. For example, one of the key things is when persons are isolated for suspected to have the disease, or we're waiting for confirmation that they do actually have the disease, that isolation period, we want to ensure that is strictly adhered to. We had seen in the past where persons who were supposed to be in isolation happened to leave the hospital or leave the area that they were in isolation. So we want to ensure that proper isolation areas are created for them before we actually have another case of monkeypox here locally. That is one concern. The next concern is also to ensure security of our borders in terms of monitoring the persons coming in for symptoms of monkeypox or Mpox as it's now being called. So in terms of looking out for those lesions, fever, and so on, we want that screening, especially for persons who have a history of traveling to countries that are heavily affected.
Following is a release from the People's National Party Media Unit.
As the PNP's candidate for Southwest St. Anne, I am deeply concerned about the repeated removal and destruction of my campaign materials, particularly poster boards across the constituency. These actions are not just disrespectful, they undermine the very foundation of democratic participation and fair campaigning. The most recent incident took place on the night of or before an event hosted by my opponent, a carnival in Sendake on Easter Monday. Poster boards that were legally and properly erected were deliberately taken down under suspicious circumstances. Unfortunately, this is not the first time my campaign has experienced this kind of sabotage. It's an issue that I've raised with the Member of Parliament previously, and he assured me that this is not the kind of politics he supports. Yet, it's clear that this commitment to fair play is not being upheld by everyone involved in his campaign. I find it very disheartening and frankly disgraceful that my opponent, who is an attorney at law, would appear to benefit from or choose to ignore these underhanded tactics. This is not the kind of leadership that people deserve, and certainly not the kind of politics we should ever return to. My campaign continues to be rooted in integrity, respect, and a genuine desire to engage voters on the issues that matter in Southwest St. Anne. This is why I'm publicly calling for the reinstatement of the Office of the Political Ombudsman. It is an institution that once provided much-needed oversight and accountability in our political process. Its absence has created a dangerous space where political mischief can thrive without consequence. I remain committed to a clean, principled campaign, and I'm calling on every political actor, regardless of their party, to do the same. Our people deserve better. They deserve to hear from all voices without intimidation, interference, or destruction.
The following is a release from the People's National Party Media Unit.
I have reviewed the statement issued by Minister Delroy Chuck regarding an alleged appointment to carry out the functions of the former political ombudsman within the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. Quite frankly, I find this announcement both perplexing and troubling. To date, there has been no clear or transparent communication to Parliament or the public about who this individual is, what authority they possess, or how the investigative process is being conducted under this new arrangement. While the minister now suggests someone is in place, our understanding is that no such formal appointment had been made until very recently, if at all. What we are witnessing is yet another attempt by this administration to force a square peg into a round hole in order to suit their own political purposes. The ECJ may be receiving complaints, but no one can say with confidence what investigatory framework exists, what standards are being applied, or whether complainants, ourselves included, can expect any resolution. We have submitted evidence including visual material regarding breaches, and yet nothing has come of it. The lack of clarity, the absence of accountability, and the disregard for due process only serve to erode public trust. Jamaica deserves better when it comes to fairness and oversight in our electoral process. We therefore call on the ECJ to immediately clarify the terms of this engagement of this so-called field officer and to publish details on how members of the public can reliably and confidently engage with this office. Justice and democracy demand no less.
When I become the Member of Parliament, we are delivering houses to Southwest St. Anne because the people deserve better in that constituency. We have a Member of Parliament who does nothing. He has a legacy of no work and he's looking at third term to create a legacy. But I am here to put a stop to that. That third term will never come because time comes for Danishka Williams to represent Southwest St. Anne. Here the gentleman says only green band could have gone at them party. So let me talk a little about that party. Now I kept a conference in January and I know many of you saw that conference, right? It was a big deal. I brought the best of dancehall to that conference, then put on a good show. Now my opponent has decided to keep a party. And we love party, but don't position the party as if it's a JLP event. Don't position it as if it's a conference, because that was not a conference. It was a free event for the constituents, funded by taxpayer dollars and sponsors. Comrades, there's so much more that I want for my constituency. And believe me when I tell you, in Southwest St. Anne, we are working. My constituents are working hard because they're tired of nothingness. The nothingness and the stillness that exists in Southwest St. Anne will stop when I am elected as their Member of Parliament, comrades.
The following is a release from the People's National Party Media Unit.
This is Dr. Angela Brownberg, Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Andrew. Today I speak with a heavy heart as we come to terms with the tragic events that unfolded on Boynes Road. This senseless act of violence has taken 3 lives and left others injured, families shattered, and a community in deep mourning. My heartfelt condolences go out to the families who have lost loved ones, and my thoughts are with those who are recovering from injuries. This attack is a grave affront to the peace and safety we strive to uphold in Southwest St. Andrew. I am urging the authorities to act with urgency and determination to bring those responsible to justice. I also call on all of us, community members and leaders alike, to come together with a shared commitment to end this cycle of violence. We cannot allow this bloodshed to continue. Together, we must rebuild safety and security across our community. It's clear that more than law enforcement is needed to prevent these tragedies. We need sustained social programs and resources